Welcome to Road to Redline, the #1 Porsche and Car podcast celebrating the people and the stories behind the world's finest sports cars. Road to Redline is presented by YouTuber and magazine editor Lee Sibley, serial owner and columnist Joe Williams, and 993 owner Andy Brookes. Three enthusiasts on a mission to open doors and bring you the best stories, secrets, and exclusives from the world of Porsche.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you? Went already 04. Yeah. But it is Series 4.
It is. We're back.
We're in the same room.
Yeah.
Sorry for our absence, everybody, but we just need a little rest.
We need a little small hiatus so we can work out what on earth we're going to do for another series.
Oh, no, it's all planned.
It's all planned.
Always planned.
Isn't it?
We'll find out.
So what have you been up to then in the downtime, you two? Andy, you've told a bit of a story to do with
I hear Andy's been oiling his garage floor.
Maybe. Yeah, I was doing an oil change on the 9.3 and I got halfway through it and it was sort of a Friday night. I was like, right, okay. Need to make sure that I don't start the car up in the morning because I drained it all down, done all the necessaries. And I thought it'd be a really good idea to put the oil cans that I had ready to go in the car, just sort of under the car. So it would, I wouldn't let the lift down, start the car and forget that I hadn't put any oil in. Wouldn't have been good. So yeah, I was doing a few last bits and got distracted. I think I was talking to a neighbour at the time and hit the button for the lift to go down. And the car didn't sit down quite flat. I looked underneath and all I could see was the 3 cans of oil underneath the rear wheel. And one of them was particularly bulgy. And at that precise moment, it went bang. And all the oil went all over the fucking driveway and all under the car. And yeah, right mess.
Nice. Are you still clearing up now?
I've got a nice all-stained drive now. Lovely. Yeah.
How slippery is your driveway as well? Like, do you know what I mean? Especially if you're not expecting it. You're just like DPD or something dropping off a parcel. All of a sudden your feet overtake your head.
Yeah.
Oh dear,
yeah,
so,
yeah, 5 litres of Castrol's finest.
Nice.
Idiot.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Got anything on yours?
No. Driven it lots.
Good.
Yeah, lots of driving of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've actually done anything to it yet.
Driving it around and dumping it on the floor.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do now.
Ultimate showpiece. Yeah.
I'm you said showpiece and not just, yeah. No, loving it. Absolutely loving it.
Did you do anything with that Carrera badge? So you said, has anyone got a spare Carrera badge knocking around? I did. I put it in my pocket. We went for a drive and I basically sat on it. So when I pulled this Carrera badge out, it said car, and then the Rera was at like a 60-degree angle. So what happened there?
Well, short answer, no. I've my plan was to probably paint it up and have a go with something different on the car. I think because it now needs a bit of heat and repair work to straighten it up, it's a slightly longer job than planned. So it's gone on the back burner. But no, it will be sporting on the car fairly soon. Yeah, it was quite funny when you gave me a sort of banana shape. I was like, thanks you, mate. I think.
Yeah. What I've given you is a problem. Not a badge. Yeah.
But thank you.
If anyone listening has got any spare Carrera badges that are flat still,
Joe might really need one.
Yeah, exactly. That is quality.
I did have. What did I have? I did have some drama the other day. So obviously my car's got this silly stereo stuff installed on it, and part of that, I think when the guys that did it, they put some LED lights, and there's a secret little switch.
Neons?
Not neons, like some little LED lights is part of the under bonnet install stuff with the air ride stuff. It sounds so max power, it's ridiculous. Anyway,
say it with a straight face, Joe. Come on.
I know, I can't. I'm embarrassed even saying this. Anyway, little LED lights, little hidden switch. Anyway, I think this switch had been switched on by someone from sat in the passenger seat, and I kept getting a flat battery. And it was driving me nuts. And basically these lights were on under the bonnet that obviously I couldn't see.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've got hold of one of those fancy trickle charger
C-Tech charger,
things, and it now has a nice little cable that comes out. So yeah, to get to the battery in my car, you've got to disassemble half this front install, which is a mission to get to it. So anyway, blah, 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 blah. I now have a nice CTEC port that I can just plug into, and my car's now running lovely.
Good.
So,
And turned off the neons.
And turned off the lights.
Good.
Good. Everyone's had a little bit of drama then, I suppose, haven't they? Which is the...
Yeah, what about, because your car was just sort of weeing itself everywhere it went.
It was
That's fixed now, isn't
going
it?
air cooled. Yeah, it was fixed. So both of you were right actually when you said that you'd going to need to drop the engine on that one, Lee, to get the expansion tank out, which was
So all that.
correct.
No, it'll just go in. It's easy.
Yeah, I've read on the
It did
forum.
need to drop.
It did, yeah, it did a little bit. So I took it to Right Tune, who I'd kind of entrust with my car for those sorts of things, and they said
I
yeah,
saw
it's
their
got-
little online post which said something along the lines of, this car now has new engine mounts which were shagged.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, and I know Chris listens to this as well. I'm going to have to pull him up on that, or the person that does their PR, because that was categorically incorrect. So they were fine, but it's actually an example of, again, what happens, not just with 996s, but all old 911s, things happen, and where the engine had to come down a little bit, one of the engine mount bolts was seized, where it's so rigid, it basically tore the bush and oil pissed out ×2 on either side. So, you've gone from replacing an expansion tank, of which the 996 Gen 1 part was 400 quid plus VAT. The Gen 2 and 997
For an
part
expansion bottle.
was £98 plus VAT.
What the? Why can't
and-
you use the Gen 2 one?
Exactly, that's what everybody says. You can't, for whatever reason, I don't know. But yeah, so, I mean...
400 quid.
Justice for Gen 1s, that's going to be the new hashtag.
So you're
going on. Yeah.
400 quid lighter.
400 quid plus VAT lighter for that, but then obviously that then rolls into... Oh, you need 2 new engine mounts as well. Yeah. Plus the labour and whatnot.
You
to
must
do
have been
it all.
thick under
So
£1,000 after that long.
It was, it was. But the funny thing was, we're looking at the expansion tank when it came out. Obviously, it was all yellow and buggered, and we think we found like the slight crack or fissure in the surface, and it's probably 5 mil long.
Yeah.
My wife Laura said, "Why couldn't you just glue it up or tape it up?" And I was thinking, well, yeah, actually, considering how light the wallet is now, it might not be a bad shout. But
and it takes a small hole to sink a ship, Lee.
yeah, don't I just know it? Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, that was the drama. But again, it's kind of indicative of those cars, isn't it?
So did you notice any difference with your new spangly engine mounts?
Not really, no, because the ones before were fine, despite what my chick's Instagram account said. They were absolutely fine. But actually, kind of as fate was having it, I was having a conversation with Chris Wright beforehand, maybe 2 weeks before, saying, I think I might just, maybe try something different with the engine mounts. They were fine, but just maybe look at aftermarket stuff. I know you, Andy, you
What did you go for?
No, they're just Porsche stock
You
items.
start
Yeah,
with
because
Porsche
when
ones,
they
yeah.
went, obviously we'd not planned to replace them because they were fine. And so they went. So it was like, what can we get here today? But yeah, you're quite a big advocate of aftermarket engine mounts. And,
Didn't you have problems with your
for the
aftermarket
handling.
ones?
I got some copy RS ones.
Yeah.
And they were shite. I wouldn't go anywhere near them. I think they were made... who were they made by?
Cadbury's?
I can't, yeah, they were pretty much, yeah. Basically, they dropped through by sort of an inch within a few months, and they were just shocking. I spoke to Chris at Centre Gravity about the aftermarket ones. He says, they've just got a huge design problem in them. They look exactly the same as the OEM ones, but they're not. They're manufactured quite differently. Everybody says, they're just made in the same factory, but they're bloody not. They're
Made out of
shocking.
soap instead of bushes.
Yeah. So don't go there.
So what did you go for?
What have I got on mine? I can't remember.
Oil stains for a start.
They're black. That's just where I can't remember now.
Yeah, well, that's to be fair, that's kind of what piqued my interest to begin with, was how much you were raving about it. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll look into it. Just a few kind of little bits like that I'd maybe like to do at some point. And it was only this kind of discussion, but in the end, kind of fate intervened and said, no, you're just going to have some replacement factory items. But like I say, hey ho, it's kind of part of the ownership experience. You should put, we always say, a couple of grand a year aside for maintenance, and that's my lot really for this year.
Done.
Then you double it on 996s.
I think so, yeah. And 997s, to be fair. It's like the Gen 1. In fact, there's a few specialists that would adhere to the theory of Gen 1 997s tend to corrode a little bit more.
More than 996s?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There's a lot of Allion steel componentry under there.
It's always difficult.
Yeah, and that's it, and where things get hot and cold and whatnot. Exacerbated by corrosion. So it just, again, it comes back down to, if you're buying cars, you have to look underneath. It doesn't matter what the paint's like. The paint's irrelevant. So yeah, that's like I say, I think we've all had a bit of garage time or whatever, really, planned or otherwise. So anyway, we'll move on. We're straight back in with a guest, aren't we?
We are. It's a different one this week.
Yeah. So we've got Andreas Mau. I hope I've done justice to your surname, Andreas, who's going to join us shortly via Zoom. But yeah, Andreas is a spy photographer. So has made a career out of sitting in places like the Nürburgring and, well, very hot places and very cold places, as he'll go on to discuss, all in the name of that split-second crucial photo, which then goes to magazines, and then that's where websites and magazines and other media entities can get a bit of a taste for what's coming up from cars.
Cool.
For production
good
stuff.
To hear his stories. I'm sure there's interesting ones there.
Yeah, so it's a really kind of quirky part of the industry, but crucial, as we'll find out. So we'll get him on, shall we?
Let's do it.
Andreas, really appreciate you joining Road to Redline today. I've actually wanted you to be on this podcast for quite a while now, because your job is highly interesting for the enthusiast, not just Porsche, but all sports cars. Your passion for Porsche is going to be very evident, as listeners will realise shortly. But also, you're a fantastic representative of Sweden, which is a historically and commercially important territory for Porsche, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. The Swedish Porsche Club is, I think, the third or fourth biggest in the world right now.
Wow.
And that's pretty amazing, because Sweden is a small country. I mean, we're just 10 million people here. So having such a big Porsche community, it's amazing.
It's like you say, it's not the country you'd expect to have such a hardcore and passionate Porsche following, is it? But I mean, I was there, I think it was 2018. It was, that's because we were talking off air about the World Cup. But yeah, so it's 2018, and I drove from the south right the way up to you guys in the far north of the country.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were Porsches everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And which again is fantastic, not only for, as you were saying, the population, but also the extremes of weather as well,
Yeah.
Because you guys get a fair bit of sunshine in the summer, but snow in the winter. So.
Yeah, but I think that's also a reason why, especially the older cars here in Sweden, are in very good shape, because no one drove these cars in the wintertime. I mean, of course, when they were new, everyone was driving them like normal cars.
Yeah.
But as soon as the car got enthusiast cars, they was stored away over the winter. I mean, my cars, they stand in the garage from end of September to beginning of May, because it's snowy and the weather conditions aren't the best.
Have you still
Now
got
the
snow on the
streets
ground now?
we have snow on the ground, not on the roads. The roads are dry.
Yeah.
But it's still so much gravel and sand and stuff on the roads, because they sand a lot during the wintertime.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no one really wants to take out the car now, because you get stone chips everywhere then.
Yeah. So maybe actually, if you're looking for a left-hand drive Porsche, buying from Sweden might be quite a good idea, because they should all be low mileage and very well cared for if they're only driven for 6-7 months of the year.
That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Andreas, we'll dive into your cars. Obviously, you're sitting in front of a couple at the moment. We're looking forward to it's a very, very pleasing background on the eye. I want to talk about your awesome profession first of all, because you are a spy photographer.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that. How long have you done it as well? Because without giving your age away, you're not a rookie, are you?
No, I started this business when I was about 15, 16.
Oh, wow.
I saw the photos in the magazines. A lot of them, of course, from winter testing. At that time, we saw prototypes every winter where I lived, and I figured, well, I can do that myself, but much better. so I had some friends with a driver license. So I mean, we went up at night to Arjeplog and Arvidsjaur, where the test center is, and at that time, the prototypes were standing outside the hotels. It wasn't so secret because there weren't any photographers out there.
Yeah.
So I went up there, had a little small Pentax camera, went up there during the nights, shot the photos of the cars outside of the hotels, went back, went to school on the daytime, next night up again. And that's how it started.
Very entrepreneurial.
Well, it helped to have friends with a car and driver license. It helped that my parents had moved to Germany, so I was living up here alone. So I didn't have anyone say, no, you can't do that. It was pretty easy at that time.
What, Andreas, what was the first car or prototype that you had snapped?
Oh, I don't remember. I think one of the first are BMWs, because BMW always stopped in Luleå where I lived at that time. So I think it must have been BMWs.
Yeah.
And what mark of BMW would that have been?
What
was that? What mark of BMW? So what sort of an E21 or an E30 or E36?
Well, it was 7 Series at that time. I don't know the internal code of that car.
Yeah.
I'm so old and my memory is so bad. So
did it start out with the intention of being a business, or was it a hobby that then sort of turned into a business by mistake?
No, I think it was just a hobby because I saw the photos in the magazine, like I said, and I was always like a car maniac. Loved everything about cars. I'm born in Germany, but I lived in Sweden all my life. And even if my parents talked German with me when I was a child, my German actually came from the car magazines when I read Automotor Sport and so. And I always talked Swedish with my parents, even if they talked German with me. But for me, it was the car magazines who really kept my German going on. And it has always been this car things. And so I think it started as a hobby just because it was interesting to see all the new stuff before it went out.
I was going to say that must be a big buzz for you, Andreas, because when a car as a finished example is presented to the world's media, particularly these days, it's all so polished. I mean, the photographs, sometimes they've been worked on so much, they still look like renders, don't they?
Yeah.
But, you get to give an impression to the world of what that car's going to look like before the manufacturer intends for you guys to see them. So, as I say, that must be a huge buzz.
Yeah, it's you get a really good kick of that. But I also have to say it all changed the last couple of years, because when I started this, it was more like a war between us, and especially when you got better equipment, and when I was working more as a car spy, it was more of a war between the car manufacturers and us, because at that time they really didn't want the photos to come out. I mean, several times in interview you could read that the bosses were saying we were costing them loads of money because people didn't buy the current cars and they rather waited for the new ones and so. But today it's more like we are part of the whole business, and they even use us for marketing.
Yeah. I have heard that, to be fair, that because where companies, especially like Porsche, I mean, Weissach, for example, it's such a vast facility, isn't it? I know the Nürburgring is, the ultimate proving ground for sports cars, etc. But the reality is, Weissach's phenomenal. So it's almost like, you only get to see those cars if they really want you to see those cars.
Yeah. And sometimes you see that they want to be photographed, because even if they know that you're there, they're coming out with some stuff. And so now we're part of marketing, but I don't care. I mean, I make my photos, I make my money, and that's about it.
Does that make your life harder or easier then, if you kind of view yourself as part of like the Porsche PR machine or manufacturer PR machine looking outside of Porsche?
No, in some cases it makes it easier, of course, because the cars come out even if they know that we're there. But on the other hand, the cars that they really don't want to show, it's getting harder to get.
Yeah.
Have you got any good stories you might reminisce about where you sort of got yourself into a bit of hot water, whether it's, they're sort of, I've got these images of you sort of, hiding in bushes and then sort of, dragging you out and that sort of thing. I mean, does that sort of thing happen? Is that the real world of a Porsche car spy?
The real good beatings. Is that
The Swedish James Bond.
Well, it was a fun story a long time ago. I had a Swedish journalist with me. And I told him it could be a little bit like a Wild West, because at that time it was still more of a war. And he said, well, I don't believe you really, because I think it's more something you say to me, so no other guys will come after you and shoot photos and so you can be alone. Mm-hmm. I said, well, yeah, you can think what you want, but it could be wild. So we took his car. He had a brand new car. First trip with it, and a friend of mine was driving. I was sitting passenger seat with my camera. The journalist was sitting back. We're chasing a prototype, a French car, and it all ended with that the prototype was driving in the side of our car. on purpose.
Really? Yeah, no way.
It was like I was sitting there with the camera. I see, he's going to hit us. So my friend was driving. I mean, we were standing still at that point, and my friend was driving, just got the gear in, and we came like 1 or 2 meters. So the prototype hit us on the right, on the rear fender, turned around our car, and then it just disappeared.
Wow.
And we called the police, of course, and it all ended up that it was our fault that we were in that city at all.
Oh, really? Yeah. Can you imagine that? Like, especially, I know that wasn't Porsche, but say if it was, and the police are asking for a description of the vehicle, and you're saying it looks like the next GT3 RS.
And we had cases with some Porsche test drivers telling us it was illegal to make the photos. They were at a public gas station in Sweden. It's illegal to make the photos and so on. I said, well, it's not illegal. It's a public place. No, it's illegal. We're going to call the police. I said, okay, do you have the number? I can call them for you. And then it was, okay. We had test drivers trying to force us off the road as well. I mean, if you're driving 100+ kilometers an hour and you're trying to overtake some of the cars that's in the caravan with prototypes and normal cars that are trying to protect the prototype, and you just see, okay, he's going to push us off the road.
Wow.
And I mean, it's a stupid thing if you have a car with photographers in it. I mean, we just shoot the photos at the same time, and you have the evidence, and some test drivers lost their job and a driver license because of that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wow, yeah.
Serious stuff.
I mean, you part of me can empathise with the manufacturers a little bit in terms of their point of view, purely because they've spent obviously millions of euros on R&D on this car, and they are still testing it. To them, it's not the finished article and therefore not fit for public consumption. But then the flip side, and this is the 51% of me, thinks that your role is massive. It's so crucial. In part of the media's general role of kind of holding people and companies and organisations to account, and showing enthusiasts, where in terms of the 911, for example, or Porsche, the direction in which our sports cars are going, and that should and could have an impact on whether people decide to buy a car now or wait in 4 or 5 years because they prefer the whatever's coming out, or being quite content with their current purchase because actually they don't like what's around the corner, with reference to the new BMW grills, as an example, which has proved highly controversial. So I think your role is so important,
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, there are a lot of fans of the spy photos and a lot of forums on the internet just discussing spy photos and prototypes and so. So I think the general interest is rather big. Mm-hmm. And if it can help people to make a decision on their new car, it's fine for me.
I think it would give the manufacturer like some early customer feedback as well. Like if they put something out there, like the BMW grill as an example, if they it's easy for manufacturers to find those forums on the internet with people complaining or otherwise. So if anything, you think it'd be good for them to get some early feedback.
Yeah, I mean, in some cases we see prototypes and we see we see that maybe a half a year or a year after this, the same model is testing, but we see big changes on the prototypes.
Yeah.
So that could be that they're changing stuff on response, what they have read on forums. So I don't know if that's the case, but it could be one of the reasons.
Yeah. BMW have obviously stopped reading forums.
Yeah, they're not listening. They're not listening at all.
How obviously you've completely mastered the art of the spy photograph, but I mean, particularly from a Porsche point of view and GT product, sound is so important, isn't it, these days? Particularly, again, reference GT3. Every time there are spy photographs of the next GT product, the first question on people's lips is it turbocharged, or is it still staying with that naturally aspirated engine? So I suppose you guys and girls are having to attune your ears a little bit more as to sounds of engines and what that might mean.
Yeah, on some cars it's easy to hear the difference and changes, and some others is more difficult. For example, this winter we have seen some Boxsters out testing, and none of them sounded like a Subaru. So I'm guessing that Porsche will possibly bring back the 6-cylinder engine even in the Boxster S and in the normal Boxster.
Yeah,
interesting. They've obviously listened to some feedback then.
I think the sales on the 4-cylinder Boxsters is rather bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, people want, if you buy a car for that money, you really want a 6-cylinder. You don't want a Subaru engine in your car. I mean the car is good. It's a good car. It's a fun car to drive, and it has everything except the right sound.
Yeah.
But that's a crucial element of a sports car, isn't it?
It's important.
Before, so.
Yeah, it's important.
Is that the feeling throughout Sweden? Because obviously, I mean, here it's much the same, isn't it? Yeah, the 4-cylinder super engine, as you called it, is quite frowned upon. Is it? Is that the same in Sweden? Is everyone quite anti?
Sweden is actually one of the countries where the 4-cylinder Boxsters and Caymans are selling very well.
Oh, so it's your fault then.
Well, the Swedes don't listen to me either. No, and one of my best friends and neighbor has a GTS, the Boxster GTS, but one of the old ones with the 4-cylinder. I was at soccer training with my son, and I heard an engine coming. I said, "Oh, sounds like an Impreza." I mean, you don't see a nice Impreza anymore. And I turned around and I saw my friend coming by with his Boxster GTS.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, no. I think that's the main problem with the car. They're excellent cars, look great, everything is great.
Yeah.
But I mean, they brought back the 6-cylinder in the GTS, and I think with the facelift coming, there is a possibility to bring it back on the Boxster S.
Well, again, doesn't that exemplify your position and what you do there, Andreas? Because Porsche has found out the hard way, financially speaking, that people don't like the sound of that 4-banger in the 718 Porsche, so they are reverting to the 6-pot again. Yeah. And if they'd have let a few people have some early access and let that kind of leak or come out to the public, they'd have got their definitive verdict a lot earlier, and it wouldn't cost them half as much. Yeah,
but I mean, when we saw the first prototypes testing, we all reacted on the sound. Yeah. It was like the Subaru sound. And it didn't help. I mean, everyone was complaining about it. The videos we sent out, you could hear the sound, but Porsche still figured, no, let's do the 4-cylinder.
Do you remember when you first heard one of the 4-cylinders? Because you must have done a double take of, it's Porsche shaped, but it sounds like a Subaru. That must have been a bit of a strange thing when you saw that first car testing.
Yeah, it's a strange thing when you see when the car and the sound doesn't match.
Yeah.
And well, I hope it matches soon again.
Indeed.
You've in the last week or so, you and your team have released the early pictures of the GT3 RS 992 lapping the Nordschleife.
Yeah.
Just how big is that rear wing in person? Because in the pictures, it looks absolutely massive.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, I've only seen it on photos because I wasn't allowed to go to Germany, depending on COVID.
Yeah.
So I just seen the photos, but I mean, you can read the photos and see the wing, and it's gigantic.
Yeah. Yeah. How has we don't like to talk too much about COVID on the pod just because it's everywhere else in our lives, isn't it?
Yeah.
But how has it affected your business and your role on a practical level over like the past year or so? Because as you say, you can't just jump on a plane to the Nürburgring anymore.
No, it's affected a lot because, like you say, I couldn't travel. So during 2020, my guys had to do all the work that's been in Germany and in Spain.
Yeah.
The only thing I could do as usual was in Sweden during the winter test season.
Yeah.
The winter test season 2020 ended too soon just because of COVID. And at that time it was new, so no one knew what's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
This winter was okay. It was less testing, less prototypes than usual. I talked to some test drivers and they said that they're about 45% of the usual crew is there.
Yeah.
And he thought that was on every brand or every manufacturer. Porsche wasn't there at all this year.
Really? Yeah.
They just sent up some cars to the Volkswagen facility. So the Volkswagen test group were driving some of the Porsche prototypes, but there were very, very few. Just the Cayman GT4 RS, the Boxsters with a 6-cylinder sound. They had some Cayenne GTS cars with they were testing some of the facelift parts on the interior because the interior were covered. The 911 Safari Mule was there, but I mean, normally Porsche is there with a massive amount of cars.
Yeah.
And this year it was like nothing. And the facility that Porsche uses during the winter wasn't used at all. Like I said, they just had a few cars at the Volkswagen facility, and that's it.
There's 2 points I want to just pick up on there, Andreas, from what you said. So the first one is you guys do have to have a pretty intrinsic product knowledge, because as you were saying there on the early shots of the 992 Gen 2, you'd notice the interior was covered up, which obviously suggests quite rightly that there's going to be updates to the interior of that car. Now, like I say, it's not just about traveling to a location and pressing a button. You have to understand the product to know what to look out for and to actually see the fact to begin with that, the dash is covered up, or, okay, well, no, there's a tiny kind of tweak there to the front PU, for example,
Yeah.
The second bit that I want to touch on is you mentioned locations. So I think for like those people that don't know, it might be worth just highlighting where Porsche tends to do its like winter testing and also its summer testing as well, because they use similar locations every time, don't they?
Yeah, that's true. Well, winter testing, they have a test facility just outside of Arjeplog in northern Sweden, and they've been there for ages. But they are also in Finland, and Finland was as close this year as well.
Yeah.
And I guess they're also in Canada doing some winter testing. But we noticed the last couple of years that testing in the States and in Canada and so is going down because it's too expensive to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a lot of testing at Nardo in Italy, of course, because they bought the place.
Yeah.
And in Spain, they're doing a lot of the summer testing, the heat testing, and so that was done in Death Valley before. A lot of that has moved to Europe now to Sierra Nevada in Spain, and so, and of course Nardo then.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting what you're saying there, because like the old, I mean, I've seen like the pre-production pictures of the 996 generation. They were all Canada, were they not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes sense, doesn't it? There's some fantastic locations in Europe to test these, and like you say, traipsing these cars halfway around the planet.
Yeah. They need to test a lot, and it's fun to see it with a brand like Porsche. Even the Carrera GT was testing here in Sweden during the winter time.
Huh.
And the 919 was also here testing a lot in the winter. So they really put the cars through a pace that no buyer or no owner of the cars will ever use.
Yeah.
It's quite extreme, isn't it? I mean, that's it's taken to the extreme cold and the extreme heat as well.
Yeah.
That's,
I remember the first time when I saw some not 918, but the Carrera GT prototypes here in Sweden. And when you saw them from from in profile, they look like a small pickup.
Yeah.
I think it's worth on that point. It's definitely worth touching on how the pre-production prototypes themselves have changed over the years. So again, you've shared some fantastic historical shots with me that you've taken of the 996 Carrera, again pre-prod, dressed as a 993. Like they'd even kind of put the 993's round raked back headlights over the top and whatnot. Now they'll just put on some funny stickers, won't they, to mask things. It's very different, the approach.
Yeah, I mean that's the same part actually with all manufacturers, but with Porsche now, the cars today are just black. They have some stickers on the lights, possibly some plastic around the lights at the back and so. But actually, they're pretty uncamouflaged, but black.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's easier for Porsche, I think, to do it that way because people don't recognize the car as a prototype right away.
Yeah.
Goes
so
under the radar.
If you see a black car pass by, okay, it's a black car.
Yeah.
It's a black Porsche.
Yeah.
But if you look, you see the stickers on the headlights and you see some plastic details on the bumpers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Again, another historical photograph I remember you sending me, Andreas, was a 993 pre-prod. And again, it had, let me get this right. It had something over the front, but it might have been a 99. I don't know. I might be getting confused now. But you could see behind the headlights the old version of the 911. I'm sure it was 964 to 993.
964.
Yeah, they're not quite as inventive anymore to kind of mask these key details or features. You know, I think because, like you say, people would cotton onto it fairly quickly, and also more people have photography in their pockets these days with smartphones. So you know, there'd be more photographs. So yeah, it is almost like hidden in plain sight these days.
You know the cars we used to see with all the sort of mixed pattern sort of stickers all over them. Was that to make it more difficult to take a picture of, or you know, a lot of the test mule cars you used to see all that.
Yeah, that camouflage foil was meant to make the camera to not get a focus on it.
Right.
But the cameras are so good, so it didn't help.
Okay.
But that was the plan. The first time when I got this psychedelic pattern, and so it was like, okay, now we're going to fool the cameras, and they won't make the photos sharp. But it didn't help.
Right.
Yeah. I think the fun part, or what's a little bit boring today, is that almost all manufacturers use the same kind of foil of their cars. It's this black and white, and if you compare to the older spy photos, you could see right away what brand the car was, because they were using so different kind of camouflage. And today everyone has the same kind of foil, so you see, okay, it's a prototype. What is it?
They've all colluded together, haven't they?
Let's shoot some photos, and afterwards we see what it is.
Try and work out what it is.
With again, as I say, where you have to have that product knowledge, I think with Porsche it's a little bit easier. Although conversely, it might not be in terms of like identifying the different 911s. But I'm just thinking, say BMW, for example. I mean, if you did a Venn diagram for BMW models, there would be a lot of crossover sitting in that middle section between, you know, the 3 Series that's, my product knowledge of them is terrible. But like, you know, the 3 Series that are jacked up in the air, like the GT, I think they were called.
Oh, yeah.
And same with Audi and stuff. So like how if you see what looks like a mid-size SUV, you know, that's fully camoed, how on earth can you tell what that is?
Well, you get some clues you get from the license plates.
Oh, okay.
And there's still some changes to come to the camouflage, even if it's pretty like. But you see some small details and stuff that you can say, okay, it's a BMW or it's a Mercedes or whatever. So for me, it's easy. But I mean, for if some friends going with me and so, they have no idea what they see.
That's, you know, like if you have like an Audi RS Q3, obviously it's, you know, chunkier tires, etc. slightly more aggressive body. Well, from a certain angle far away, that could look like an S or a Q5, for example. You know, like
I think you're forgetting that most people in the world think all Porsches look the same.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Yeah, I do.
So I think if you know your Audis, then I'm sure Audi listeners right now are probably screaming saying that's rubbish. Because they could spot them from half a mile away. So
that's the problem with my job. I need to know all these brands, even if I don't like them. I mean, it's easy if you're just a Porsche fan. You know everything about Porsche.
Yeah,
and that's enough. You don't need to know anymore. But with my job, you really need to know everything about Hyundais and Fiats and
everything
all these other brands that you really don't care about.
You must have some awful bedtime reading to do.
I remember when I one of the first years when I met my girlfriend, and she was like, why can't you be like other guys, just normal guys, and look at pornos? You always look at car magazine, car websites, and stuff like that.
It's the same thing, is it not?
Brilliant.
Yeah. So come on then, Andreas. We need some goss from you. So like, what have you and your team seen recently that enthusiasts have got to be aware regards to what's coming up? There's definitely a sport classic on the way. I'm adamant there's a sport classic on the way.
Yeah, we have seen a prototype or some prototypes where we think it's a sport classic. Ducktail, double bubble roof, center lock wheels, and stuff like that.
Because there was conjecture on those. I know exactly the pictures that you're referencing there, and some people were saying, is it a special edition RS because of the ducktail? I can't see, bearing in mind next year's 50 years of the RS, I can't see that they've, and the new RS is due as well, I might add. I can't see that there's going to be, famous last words, there probably will be now, wouldn't they, a touring version and whatnot and a lightweight. But
but I mean, the first time we saw the ducktail on the 992 was on a turbo body.
Yeah.
And it had the holes in the back, in the rear fenders, like a turbo has and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this latest prototype doesn't have it. It's not a turbo, but people still think, and if you read the forums, well, it must be a turbo. Oh, it's 100% the new GTS, but why should the GTS have the double bubble roof?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So, I mean, I can't tell you 100% sure, but at least that's how my thoughts are going.
Yeah.
And I think Porsche, I mean, Lee, if you talk to them so many times, and I'm pretty sure they mentioned that they will do some more special edition cars and stuff like that, because that's where the money is for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. I think from my side or journalist side, sometimes you're kind of told things off the record, which you have to respect. But, it's almost kind of, that's why sometimes it's down to you to leak the story for us. So we can lean on you a little bit for a headline. So that's why we need you back out there. Yeah, but again, because I don't know if you remember, I bumped into you at the Nürburgring once. I think this was 2019. So it was the year after we travelled up to Sweden. We'd done some bits with your cars, which we'll talk about shortly. But I was driving to Porsche from Britain. Obviously, I just swung by the Nürburgring. It's en route. And, went to one of the famous corners. Can't remember what one it was. And lo and behold, there you were. There was.
I think it was Brünchen.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Brünchen,
well, that is a very photographic corner, to be fair. So that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, you were there, obviously, like ready and waiting because there was a manufacturer test day, and it was kind of great, just kind of watching over your shoulder, really, is to see, just how it works. And I mean, you have to wait a hell of a long time sometimes just for like that split second when the car comes round the corner ready for the shot. There's no point engaging with me about a conversation on Targas v Cabriolets if the car that you're shooting, bearing on the size of the Nürburgring, only comes round every so often, and then you miss it and it goes behind. So it's you have to wait a long time for that right moment, don't you? As well,
concentration and
100%,
preempting,
yeah. And the thing is, people think that when the cars are testing at the Nürburgring, that they're like driving lap after lap after lap. But some cars just drive one lap and then they're gone.
Yeah. So you got to be ready for that one pass.
Yeah. I mean, the first time Panamera was at the Nürburgring, I missed it because I was between two corners. One of the competitors got it, and it was just driving one lap, and it was a long time before it was seen next time.
Yeah. And again, that's difficult off the back of, you've got flights and accommodation and everything to be at the Nürburgring from your home in northern Sweden. And you've missed the moment essentially there.
Yeah, it's expensive mistakes if you're not there, or if you don't have anyone there for you.
Yeah.
And that's why I have a guy who lives in close there who shoots the photos for me now when I'm not there. And I also have another guy in Germany who is traveling around a little bit more on different places. And one guy in Spain. And it's I'm thankful for that, because at these times when I can't travel myself, it's good to have some guys shooting photos who know what they're doing, and most of the times also see the new stuff.
You were saying earlier you were speaking to engineers. I was wondering if the sort of relationship that you have with the human side, the engineers, the people that are trying to drive you off the road. Do you actually get to build a relationship with them at all, and talk to them or find out anything?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the engineers and test drivers have been there for as many years as I have.
Yeah.
So you know them, and on some occasions you have shot photos or have discussions with them. And I had one time I was shooting a prototype. I can't tell you what brand it was, but the test drivers they had parked the car outside, taking a smoke, and I shot some photos, and they were really at first they were crazy about me, then because they were not allowed to park the car. The car had to be in movement all the time.
Yeah.
And they were of course afraid of losing their job, and so we made a simple deal that I told them to just pass me a couple of times. I shoot some rolling photos and I delete the standing photos, and so and so we did that way. And I mean, they didn't get any problems. I got my photos, and I have met those guys like 3 or 4 times afterwards. And the second time I met them, they bought me some beer in the evening.
Brilliant.
And we were sitting and talking, and then suddenly I got a mail from one of them telling me to keep my eyes open the next day. And well, I mean, you help each other, and for me it's important to try to be nice to the test drivers, and because you always meet people twice, and it's good to look each other in the eyes even the second time.
Yeah.
And if I can help them, if I can get my photos without giving them some problems, it's okay for me.
Yeah. So some mutual respect there rather than warring factions, as it were.
Yeah.
Good.
I think you should have that, because I mean, every one of us, or most of us, are like in the ages where we have kids and family and so on, and everyone wants to get home to their family at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's no way to drive like crazy and risk any lives just to get the photos. So it's better to keep it good and try to be nice to everyone, even if you still want your photos.
It's a fine sentiment, that, Andreas. A fine sentiment. We want to talk to you about that lovely 356 in the background before moving on to the 997. But your Instagram handle is Race356, isn't it? So there's a bit of love for the 911's predecessor. Yeah.
It's a 58 A coupe, the 1600 Super, in Fjord Green.
Beauty.
I bought the car in 96, 97.
Awesome.
At that time, you could still buy these cars without selling a kidney, or your children, or your dog, or anything like that.
Your house, yeah.
When I bought it, it was silver. The Fjord Green is the original paint that it's now.
Beautiful.
But it was silver at that point when I bought it, and I wanted the green color to come back because I love the color. It's a great color.
Yeah.
The car is now fully restored, but it's not 100% original. I did some small changes to it to have some you can tell it's say outlaw look, but
it
I
looks
mean,
like it's got some
you can get it.
stance to it.
It has got quite.
You can get it. You can get it back to 100% original in one day. It's just. But I think the A coupes, they scream out like, outlaw me, because they look so cool.
Have you done some racing with that car? Is that right?
I did some racing with that car when it was silver.
Yeah.
At that point, afterwards, when the car was finished, I hardly haven't driven it because I don't dare to do it. It turned out too good.
That's always the trouble, isn't it? When you do a full restoration, you make it too good to drive. You get too scared.
Yeah, it's too good. But before the restoration, when I bought it, when it was silver, I was racing it and driving it in the winter at some points, and then at that point you had really fun with the car.
Yeah.
And now it's more like, okay, don't get too close. So that's the backside of if you have a car that's been restored too good.
It looks awesome. It looks absolutely awesome.
Yeah,
mechanically, yeah, we do. Yeah, maybe we'll come out to you and just help you run it in because mechanically, what's changed with the car?
As the engine is just restored, it's a 75 horsepower super engine.
Yeah, like restored, or is that still kind of quite old and original?
The engine is restored.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a lot of people. Spec. Yeah, original spec. Maybe it's had like 5 horsepower more now, so maybe 80. Mm-hmm. So it's no big bore kit or stuff like that. But I mean, it's a light car. It handles well. It runs great. It's fun to drive when you dare driving it and dread taking it out.
Do you know of many others in Sweden
with 356s?
Yeah.
Up here, it's not. I mean, in Stockholm and in the south of Sweden, there are a lot of 356s. But up here, there is one more up here and in the same village here, but it has been like parked for 40 years, so it's not going anywhere.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't added it to your collection if it's been sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah, it's not for sale. It's
so you've asked the question then.
Yeah.
Of course, not just once.
Awesome. Well, the 997 behind is only a couple of years younger, but you've had some interesting stuff in between. Chief of which was a highlight that I remember from visiting you was the SC that was forward dated to a 964, which is awesome because people usually go the other way. Yeah, that car. You drove that car and it was running very well. It's sold now. A friend in Stockholm has it. Also a Roughneck member. Awesome.
And he is building it back again to more original look.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Because it's the thing to do. I think in terms of the value of the car, isn't it? But it was really cool to see a car go the other way. And certainly years ago, forward dating was a popular thing. Forward dating was the back dating of the time, wasn't it? So
it's amazing how things change.
Yeah, I think is as for now is keeping the Strosek front bumper as well.
Okay.
What he did was taking away these 964 rear lights and putting back the G model rear lights.
Yeah.
But the Strosek bumper he liked so much is probably keeping that.
Yeah, okay. That's cool. We'll put some pictures on our Instagram feed so people can see that, because particularly like younger people, I think the concept of a forward-dated car is pretty alien. You don't see it in this country, do you, at all, really? I think there was a 964 at Ashgoods recently that was a 3.2 Carrera.
It was,
That's, the only one that's come to market for years, really.
Yeah.
Most of them have been...
Yeah, but at that time, I mean, the car was built somewhere in the early 90s, I think, and at that point you really wanted that your car should look newer.
Yeah.
Now it's the other way around.
So the 997 behind you, that's a GTS. Is it a GTS 4, I assume, considering where you live? Or
no, it's a GTS 2.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
Rear wheel drive,
Yeah, very good.
speed yellow, and
yeah,
it
speed yellow is a great
also
colour,
has,
isn't it?
yeah, suits the 997 perfectly.
Yeah.
This one has the GT2 carbon seats, the bucket seats
Nice.
as option from new.
Yeah.
I think it was a very rare option because they were very expensive at that time.
Yeah. Manual or paddles?
No, it's pedals.
Yeah.
PDK.
That's quite a rare.
The manuals are really hard.
It is.
Manuals are really hard to find. It's a great car. It has like 24,000 kilometers now, so it's not much.
Yeah, well, I think we definitely need to help you put some kilometres on that.
Yeah,
so let us know. Yeah, we'll take it down to that airfield near you, that runway.
Yeah, and I still have my white one, the white 911 you drove last time we were here.
Oh, so that thing was awesome. Yeah, you need to tell listeners about that. Andres kindly let me go for a drive. And I went on my own, disappeared from his house. But I mean, the thing was so loud, you heard exactly where I was at all times, didn't you? So,
Yeah. I was standing with the photographer from the magazine at my house, and Lee was like away for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and we heard him all the time.
what quality is that?
What is this unknown white 911? What is it?
Give us the specs.
It's a 911 SC, an 81.
Yeah.
It's not really stock. It's very light, weighs about 1,000 kilos. The engine has 204 plus horsepower, so I have no idea what the power is, but it's light. It has a lot of power. It's a really fun car to drive, and that's the car I love the most. It's actually also my first Porsche. Bought that car in 1991.
Wow.
And I'm now never going to sell it. And it's so much fun to drive. It's so much fun. Just ask Lee.
It's a real hoot to drive, it has to be said. Out of the three then, Andreas, so it's a sunny Sunday morning in the summertime, no snow around where you are. What car do you elect to take out first choice? 356, modified SC, or the GTS 997?
It has to be the SC.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. It has to be the SC because it's really the most fun car to drive that you can have.
That's amazing, isn't it? Because you've got an old car that's in perfect condition there. The 356. You've got a more modern 997 that sounds like it's in pretty good condition too. But your go-to car is the one that's the most sort of I'm envisaging that it's quite well used. But that's the one that you go for.
Yeah, I mean it's loud. It has everything that you actually don't want in a car, but that's what makes the car perfect.
As is often the way for an enthusiast car.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's a car that even if it's in perfect condition, it's a car that you can use. I'm not afraid to use that car.
Yeah.
They're the best cars, aren't they? I think a car that you're happy to use and drive and see where those limits are rather than being sort of cautious or definitely.
Well, also as well where you are, and again, I know for certain months of the year a lot of roads are closed or impassable, but there are some awesome driving roads. You've got a lot of space up there, particularly in comparison to what we're used to here in Britain.
Yeah, especially up here in the north. I mean, there are some great roads and not much traffic and even less police cars. So it's it's a good place to be at if you want to enjoy your driving.
Well, the biggest danger is wildlife, isn't it? You know,
it's wildlife, yeah,
without a doubt.
Yeah.
What sort of things do you have to contend with? I mean, what's is it sort of, do you have sort of, is it sort of, I imagine sort of giant longhorn elk of some sort.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
the big moose is the biggest. You don't want to have that, but on the other hand, with the Porsche, you drive underneath.
Scoop it up.
Is this why they all have roof racks in Sweden? So they take it home.
Just to take it home. Pop it in the freezer.
Yeah.
You said about
or a station wagon. Yes. Yeah. Put it in.
You touched on not too many police around where you are. What's the reception like for Porsche drivers? Yeah, up where you are, are they quite receptive to people playing in their cars, or is it are they sort of do they give you more hassle?
No, I mean, of course, everyone who's driving Porsche drives too fast.
Yeah,
most of the times, but we have some racetracks close, and we have our little airfield that Lee knows, and you can do a track layout on that airfield as well. So in that case, you can really go somewhere and drive fast and have fun without risking anything.
yeah, that's good.
But yeah, I mean, during summertime, the sun never goes down, so you can go out at 2 a.m. It's no traffic at all. The sun is shining, and just drive.
Wow.
You drive fast.
It is bizarre, isn't it? I know, obviously, you'll be used to it. But, I was there in a GTS Targa 991.2. And yeah, we went out driving at midnight, obviously, just for the novelty of it. And yeah, you know, it just feels like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but you realise there is nobody else around, nobody else on the road, nobody else walking on the pavements, nothing. Wow. And then that's when you check the watch, and it's, you know, like I say, you're used to it, but for us, especially, like, you know, I mean, winter time, you know, darkness seems to be perpetual, doesn't it? You know, so to go up to where you guys are and to have none of it. But again, you know, it's just more opportunity, I think, to enjoy the cars, especially like away from people.
I mean, I lived up here pretty much all of the time. I lived in Sweden. I had 8 years in south of Sweden as well, but this is the place that's home for me. And it's not just because of the empty roads, but also because of the people that live here.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's more, the people here are more in harmony with everything, making it easier to drive a Porsche as well.
Oh, it's nice. I think it's also a bit of a bonus because, particularly with regards to your job, you know, the cars come to you, don't they? You know, Porsche goes up to where you are for the winter testing. Is it Arjeplog? I can never pronounce it properly. I've probably done it in injustice.
Arjeplog.
Ruined it. Definitely ruined it, Lee.
Yeah. I'll just let you say that, I think, Andreas, from now on. So, yeah, no, it is. It sounds like you've got a good balance there. And like I say, you know, from us journalists in the industry, thank you, because, yeah, as I say, you play such a crucial role, I think, and a crucial link between enthusiasts and manufacturers. So kudos to you, and I hope you do it for a long time still.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's fun, and as long as it's fun, I like cars, I will keep on with this stuff. I still have great fun, so I will be around.
Good.
For many years.
Good. We hope so, mate. We hope so. And we've loved having you on Road to Redline. Before you go, we've got 10 questions that we ask each of our guests, basically, and it just helps us understand where you're at in terms of the Porsche scale of things. I'm hoping Andy has got questions.
I am seeing them up.
I'm afraid I don't have them.
Andreas, I want to ask you, just while Andy's finding those questions, 2 questions actually. One, is there a car that you can remember where you were really, really chasing it to get pictures of it, and either did or didn't get them? Is there anything that comes to mind on that? No.
I got them all.
Well, in that case, then my second question was, what's the next car in your sights that might interest us Porsche-wise? Is there something on the list that you know is imminent that you are chasing for?
Imminent, I don't know, but it would be fun to get the first photos of this mid-engine Porsche that's been rumored for a while now.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if it's still on the table or if Porsche has cancelled it, but well, I think might still come.
It sounds like if there is one, you'll have pictures of it.
If it's going to be the 918 successor or whatever, I don't know, but I think there is still some fun stuff to come from Porsche.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, we'll be looking to your pictures for the outcome on all of that then, Andreas. So.
Yeah. I'm still hoping for a turbo Targa.
Oh, do you know?
Would be great fun.
Turbo Tugger would be
Turbo
awesome.
Tugger.
Yeah. Obviously, they did it for the 930, didn't they? But kind of never since.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be cool.
Yes, I still hope that car will come.
Cracking car.
All right. Well, look, Andy's got the questions. It's worth saying as well for people listening. So you're Race356 on Instagram, but your business handle is CarPix AB, isn't it?
Yeah.
Andy,
Excellent.
you've got these 10
So
questions.
the 10 questions.
Yes, they're quick fire, Andreas. So you can't think about it. You've just got to react.
Okay.
Okay. First question: air or water?
Air.
Second question: your favourite Porsche model?
993 RS.
That keeps popping up.
Yeah.
Favourite Porsche colour?
White.
Who is your ultimate Porsche icon?
Walter Röll.
Your favourite track?
Nürburgring.
To Fuchs or not to Fuchs?
Fuchs.
Hey.
Do you stock or do you hot rod?
Hot rod.
Of course. Narrow or wide body?
Narrow.
Cars,
Faster.
cars and coffee or a track day?
Oh, both.
Combined. And lastly, do you do back seats in a 911?
No.
No.
Take them out. Okay. Thank you.
Nice, crack it. I think your favourite track was always going to be the Nürburgring, wasn't it? So.
And I've actually already had a white 993 RS.
Have you actually?
But yeah,
Ah, wow. That's
sadly sold it. Sadly,
Yeah, yeah,
sadly sold it.
Yeah.
Look at his face. He looks so sad about that.
Yeah. So
What
I was
did
going to
do?
say, yeah, like when did you sell it?
I sold it in 2001.
Oh,
wow.
Before.
commiserations.
Before they
Andreas.
went skyrocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I sold it. I didn't advertise it. I had a guy from Stockholm. He was calling me like once a week for 6 months,
It ground you down.
and wanted to buy the car. And at last, I said, "Okay, you can come and look at the car." But at that time, it was up in February. We had like 1.5 meters snow outside. So he came in and looked at the car in the garage and starting talking money. At one point, I just figured, why not? And after that, I bought a 993 Turbo. And that car is owned by a friend of mine now, and he's not selling it back.
You've definitely got some Porsche history, haven't you?
Yeah, I love cars. A lot of fun, a lot of cars. And I mean, I'm not complaining. I have a lot of fun right now too.
Yeah.
You're a good man, Andreas. Yeah, whether you're picturing them driving or doing the driving yourself. So, look, we really appreciate you joining us on Road to Redline. It's a real pleasure, like understanding, the science and the history behind spy photography, really, and how crucial it is to our industry. So, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting me join.
Excellent. Thank you.
So that is the life of a spy photographer.
Double bubble, as he said.
Is it double bubble?
Double bubble.
That's what he called it.
Did he actually?
Yeah, sport classic.
Oh,
Double
yeah,
bubble.
Yes,
Double
yeah,
bubble.
yeah,
Got you.
yeah. I've got you. Definitely got
I wonder
you.
what you were on about.
I thought we were doing like a 2-for-1 episode here or something.
Ruined.
I can't believe
Sorry.
he's been doing it since he was 15, 16.
Cracking.
And just because his mum and dad were out of the country, he thought, yeah, no holes barred. Let's go.
Yeah, and
Let's go
again,
and do it.
As we were saying, that's of hiding in bushes and whatnot, just to ensure you get the right shot. It's a hell of a commitment to cars.
You did that as a kid, but you didn't turn it into a career, did you?
yeah. The old bill stopped me. I needed a career change.
Must be amazing though to like start off on your hobby journey thinking this is great fun. I'll go and snap some pictures as a teenager, and then next thing you know, you're actually doing it as a full-time career, what, 30 years on?
100%. And what's
Incredible.
awesome as well is, these manufacturers come to him where he is in.
Yeah.
We'll give it a go with the pronunciation.
No, don't do it.
Arsblog.
Oh, that wasn't bad.
It's not too far off, but all the manufacturers come to you for your testing all the way in northern Sweden there, but also because not a lot of people live there, you haven't actually got a lot of competition.
Yeah.
In terms of, if you see someone standing next to you trying to nick your shot, it's your neighbour.
And you can slash their tyres before they get there.
Yeah. Or steal their post. That's a good one, isn't it?
Much worse.
So, that's Andreas. We really appreciate Andreas joining us.
Need to pull him up on his 356 driving. Needs to get out and drive that. Get some road rash on it, I think.
Maybe we can help. Maybe we can help him do that. He's genuinely got a massive runway right near his house, almost like just as wide as it is long.
Yeah.
So again, like he was saying, you could genuinely put your own sort of layout of a racetrack there and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So second person from Sweden as well. So we are truly international.
Yeah.
We did have a look, didn't we? Was it 32-hour drive to go and see him?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one.
Mate, we'll wait for him to come to us. He can run that 356 in. So, no, Andreas, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So thank you, mate. That's absolutely awesome. Andy, it's my absolute favourite part of the show is you announce Patreons and try and pronounce their names. It was my favourite part.
Really? Okay. I'll see who we got this week.
I heard somebody's jumped ship though.
Oh, yes, it's true.
Yeah.
Who was that squeaky to cancel their Patreon? Come on.
So
name and shame.
I was really proud that we'd got some money out of a Yorkshireman's pocket. But he only stayed for 1 month. £2 is all we got from Richard. And now he's gone. And I think he's just too squeaky.
I reckon that's just for the double entry into the competition.
He was, wasn't he? Double bubbling into the competition. So, Steel City Porsche,
Shame on you.
There's a mark next to your name there.
But we got a couple of 2 or 3 new ones that have replaced Richard. We've got Dennis McGill, who has done a really nice entry for our little competition with 1511 on the 914.
I've seen some really cool designs on those.
Yeah, he's done a brilliant one. So thank you.
People are pretty handy for like a bit of home sort of colouring.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Also got some sponsorship from Lee Albright, who, if I remember rightly, is in Australia.
Oh, tops.
Doesn't actually own a 911 yet, but listens to us and enjoys it. And he's giving us a beer a month. So thank you very much, mate.
Spot on.
And another one is Mark Willis. Can't remember if we mentioned you last time. If we did, then you get 2 mentions. If we didn't, welcome along. And thank you for a coffee. Really kind. So there we go. That's our patrons this week.
Spot on. Lovely way to kick off series 4. That good guest, good support,
Definitely.
good company as well, gents. I'd say. I'd even go that far.
Absolutely.
I'd say what we should mention, because a handful of people have been asking me what it's all about, which means people do obviously listen to this podcast, is our 3rd of July.
Yes.
Are we allowed to say any more yet?
Northampton,
3rd of July?
3rd of July. It's going to be a morning event, so sort of cars and coffee type thing. Still not sure on numbers yet. That'll be we'll be getting the information in the next week or so, and then we'll be able to relay some more information and get some sort of ticket information out in the next couple of weeks or so.
Awesome. Cool. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, but save that date, 3rd of July, Saturday morning.
It'd be nice as well. We were saying it, and it is all kind of still up in the air, isn't it? But conceptually, it'd be nice to get along a few of the cars and people that have appeared on the podcast before who are available to do so, just so people can put like faces to names and whatnot, isn't it? So
yeah.
And hopefully some listeners too. I think it's going to be an all is welcome, open doors. So keep the 3rd of July empty.
Yeah, I've got some ideas on how to make it really sort of what's the word? Interactive.
Yeah.
Interactive.
Yes.
Nice.
On the day interactive or before the event interactive?
Bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it, Andy. Sounds good,
Let's
mate.
get everybody talking together and building a nice little community.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well, that's the 3rd of July. We will be back slightly before then, though, next week.
Yep.
I think it's another guest next week. We'll reveal all maybe next time. Until then, see you soon.
See you soon.
See you later.
You've been listening to Road to Redline, the #1 Porsche and Car podcast, fueled by our generous Patreons. If you'd like to join in supporting the podcast, please see patreon.com/roadtoredline and find us on Instagram.